Schools within 2 coastal Bend districts announcing closure due to confirmed cases of COVID-19 among students.
Right, Alice ISD making the decision to return to 100% virtual learning in their district, at least through the end of next week. And Kingsville ISD also notifying parents of students that 3 of their campuses also had to be temporarily shut down to reduce the risk of spread. Our Bill Churchwell has more on this developing story for us tonight.
This letter sent out by the Alice Independent School District alerting parents that several students tested positive for COVID-19 at both William Adams Middle School and Alice High School. It also states those students were on campus as recently as Tuesday. Contact tracing discovering that a significant number of students attended a large gathering this past weekend and may have been exposed. Because of that large number, Alice ISD making the decision to suspend in-person instruction at all campuses and return to virtual learning at least through October 30th. Dr. Salim Surani, who joined us live on 3 News at 5, says the best defense is always prevention. He says gatherings, for example, house parties, can become a super spreader event.
We need to go back and look at it, what that event was, who attended the event, whether the people were socially distancing themselves, they were wearing their masks, because those are the key factors.
Meanwhile, in Kingsville, a spike of COVID positive cases has forced the closure of 3 of that school district's campuses. They include 3 cases at Memorial Middle School, another 3 at Harrell Elementary, and 1 at Gillette Intermediate. Superintendent Dr. Sissy Reynolds-Perez says students and staff at those campuses will return to virtual learning for the next 10 days. This as all the campuses will be disinfected.
I think the school is doing a good job in trying to get the kids away so that they can do the contact tracing, disinfect the schools, and then make sure that the cases has not gone farther.
Here's a timeline that shows measures Kingsville ISD has taken to protect students and staff. It dates back all the way to June when summer school classes had to be canceled, then summer food services. Harrell Elementary closed once before for 24 hours, then football and volleyball activities had to be shut down last month. 25% of the district's students started back with in-person learning on September 28th. A month later, we reached today. Kingsville ISD is still planning to continue with their Phase 3 reopening plan at their other campuses starting next Monday. Bill Churchwell, 3 News.